Fun. One, two, 1, 2. Audio's good. Good. Let's make sure we're good on LinkedIn and we'll get this going. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year to those of you who have not heard from me yet. I did not do a live stream yesterday, so should be Happy New Year to everybody who only watches on a live stream. What we're going to talk about here today, we're going to do a more evergreen topic here today. This is not going to be a current event. We're going to talk evergreen things here because this is at the start of the year. And for those of you who are not familiar with my work, every year at the start of the year, I give my audience a focus for the upcoming year. I usually do that through my podcast, which I call a masterclass. It is called Work on Your Game. You can find it on any one of your favorite podcasting applications. I'll show you what the show looks like for any of you who wants to go look for it. It's called Work on Your Game. It looks like this. You can find it on this is the Apple Podcast app. You can also find it on Spotify. The artwork looks exactly the same. It is called Work on Your Game. Comes out every single day. It's about, let me just look at my episodes. Latest episodes. This one I'm already listening to. So this one's about 25 minutes. This one's 27 minutes. This one's 43 minutes. It's just me talking, usually 20 to 30 minutes on average every single day, where I talk about things that will help you moving forward. So today what we're going to talk about is your focus for 2025, which needs to be full, complete regimentation. Let me make sure that we got the right visibility settings over on YouTube. Full regimentation for the year 2025. I'm going to explain what this is. I'm going to explain why it is. I'm going to explain how this is going to help you moving forward, starting right now, actually starting yesterday. It should have started January 1st. As a matter of fact, let me back up. It should have started on December 23rd because Christmas this year was on a Wednesday, which is good for any of you who works on a regimented schedule, right, that is assigned to you by your employer, because I think for many of you, you got off. Usually people get off Christmas Eve, usually, right? So many of you got off the 23rd, the 24th, that whole week last week. Then you got off most of this week. Some of you are back to work today, Thursday. Some of you don't go back to work till Monday, January the 6th, where I'm going to be doing a live stream on, guess what, January the 6th. On January 6th, I will be doing that live. But all of you got this time off. The way that you start, or the time that you start actually getting ready for the new year, is around the time of Christmas Eve. So between Christmas Eve, which is December 24th, and January 1st, which is also a holiday, and usually people get off the 24th, right? So that whole week, that's the week when you separate yourself from everybody else. I call this the separation week. I talk about this every single year. That week when most people say, all right, I'm going to do absolutely nothing. I'm going to chill. I'm going to hang out with family. I'm going to eat. I'm going to drink. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to watch Netflix, do a whole bunch of bullshit. That's the week when you start to separate yourself from everybody else, because during that week when nobody's doing anything, you separate yourself from the competition, or you get further ahead than the competition, or you catch up to the competition if they're further ahead than you. So even though I'm giving you this I'm recording this on January the 2nd of 2025, all of you should have already started with this process on December the 23rd of 2024. But late is better than not doing it at all. So even those of you who are showing up late, and this is your first time ever even considering what I'm talking about here today, welcome. It's better that you showed up than you didn't show up at all, even if you showed up late. So let's get into this topic. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. Basketball is my sport. I have created this brand called Work on Your Game. I've done 4 TEDx talks. I've written 35 books. This brand called Work on Your Game, and this company called Work on Your Game, the system that we call Work on Your Game, is all about taking the tools to help athletes get to the top of the sports game, the top 2%. And I have translated those tools into how you can use these in your life even though, or even if you have never played a sport in your life, or you don't play sports right now. So if you are a salesperson, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business professional, if you are a transitioning professional, meaning you're transitioning from one industry to another, the stuff that I talk about is made specifically for people like you, because as you can see, I don't play sports anymore either. So these same tools that I'm talking to you all about and helping you implement, I use these exact things in my own life and in my own business, and I help other people with them. That's what I do professionally. So any of you wondering what I do, that's what I do. No, I'm not an attorney. No, I'm not a lawyer. I already had somebody ask me that on X earlier this morning. Every day somebody asks me if I'm a lawyer. And I'm going to start lying and telling people that I am, or I'll just tell you that I played one on TikTok. So anyway, these I do, as I said, every single year at the start of the year to tell you how to be fully regimented. What I'm going to do here today is I'm going to give you 6 specific things you can do to step up your regimentation in the year 2025. Okay, everybody clear on what I'm going to do, on what the goal is. And let me just tell you what the word regiment means, so all of you understand the language. Regiment means, well, the definition here, if we look into the dictionary, the first definition is a military unit of ground troops consisting of at least 2 battalions, usually commanded by a colonel. That's not really what I mean, but let me get the Merriam-Webster definition. It's going to give me the same thing. But regiment means, in the language that I'm using with you all, to organize rigidly, especially for the sake of regulation or control, or to subject to order or uniformity. So what I'm telling you this year is that you want to be fully regimented. That means you want to be fully organized and rigidly organized. That's very strictly organized for the sake of regulation or control. Now you may be wondering, well, Dre, why the hell would I want to do that? I'm telling you the reason that you want to do that is because the more regimented and organized you are, the more clear your processes will be, the more clear your executions will be, the more you'll get done the things that you want to get done. And the more likely, because you're doing everything you want to get done, the more likely you'll reach your goals. And the more likely you will see yourself through towards the potential of who you could become and what your life could be and what your career could be if you're fully regimented, as opposed to how most people operate, which is very loosely, no regimentation, no rules, no discipline, no regulations, no processes. And you see where that gets you. All right. So most of you probably have plenty of experience in life of where it gets you, where you do or do not have regimentation. Today, I'm going to sell you on why you want to have regimentation. Okay. Now, maybe I will successfully sell you, some of you, and you'll start doing this. Maybe I will fail to sell some of you and you'll keep doing what you've been doing. We'll see. Let's get into it. Point number 1, topic again today is why you want to be fully regimented in 2025. And by the way, if anybody has a question or comment when I'm done, I will address questions and comments because I'm live in 7 different platforms here: YouTube, X, Rumble, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok, all at the same time. So number 1, schedule out your life. Schedule your life. What do I mean by scheduling your life? What I mean is literally, get your day planner if you have a day planner. If you don't have a day planner, get your wall calendar if you have a wall calendar. A wall calendar is literally a calendar you put on the wall. If you don't have a wall calendar, open up your damn phone. All of you got a phone, and open up the calendar app on the phone. If you don't have a calendar app on your phone, go get one. You can download one for free and actually schedule the damn day. I literally mean this. This is not a metaphor. Sometimes I speak in metaphors. I will explain to you when I'm giving you a metaphor. I'll explain to you when I'm being literal. I mean this one literally. Literally schedule out the day. So if you know, like, for example, I know that every day I do a live stream, Monday through Friday, I do a live stream from 8 a.m. and I usually go to about 10 a.m. So on my calendar, I literally have it scheduled out that from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I have a live stream on schedule. Let me show you. I'm going to show y'all what my calendar looks like, so y'all don't think I'm just telling y'all stuff. Let me see if I can put it in a way that y'all can actually see it. Here's my calendar for today. All right, you see all these different colors and all these things on it. This is my schedule for today. The white space is the time that I'm sleeping. I don't put that on the calendar, but everything else is on the calendar. I have it scheduled out exactly what I'm going to be doing. And there was another way that I could show it, but I don't know where the view is. I'm not seeing it. But anyway, the whole point is you want to have your whole day scheduled out. Every single thing that you're going to be doing needs to be on schedule. If you have a phone call scheduled, put that on the calendar. If you know that you have a meeting next Thursday at 3:00, that needs to be put on the calendar. If you know you're taking a flight 2 Sundays from now at 10 a.m. and the flight lands at 4 p.m. in Vegas, put that on the calendar. Every single thing that you do in your life, every single day, if you know you're going to be doing it, it needs to be put on the calendar. Why do you need to schedule your life? Why does this matter? why you need to do this every day. Why do you do these things? The reason that you do this and scheduling every single thing and putting it on the calendar is so that you get control of your most valuable resource, which is your time. In life, you have 5 forms of investment. Let me tell you what they are. They are time, which I just mentioned. There's money, there's energy, there's attention, and there's focus. These are your 5 forms of investment. You need to get control of the most valuable one, which is your time, because the other 4 you can lose and replace. You can run out of money and come back and tell the story. Has any of you ever heard a story of someone who had money, went broke, lost all their money, and then they came back and made more money? Of course you have. Some of you have been in that situation where you had money, didn't have money, now you have money again. Some of you are in a position you don't have money right now, but you can still live to tell the story. Energy. You run out of energy. That's called fatigue and being tired. You go take a nap, go to sleep. You take a 5-hour energy, Red Bull, whatever, you get your energy back. If you run out of attention, you can just shift what you're paying attention to, and usually your attention will go up. So if you've been staring at the computer screen for a while, go outside and take a walk, you can get more attention. If your focus is off, let's say you're looking at something and it's just not able to maintain your focus, shift your focus to something else and your focus goes back up. The point being, money, energy, attention, and focus, when you get to 0 in any one of those, you can do something and you can get the resource back. Time, if you get to 0, you can't get it back. That's called death. All right. Any of you get to 0 when it comes to time, you're dead. They're scheduling your funeral and it's over. So time is the most valuable resource because it's the only one that you cannot bounce back from if you run out of it. That's why we need to get control of our time. And the way you get control of your time is by actually scheduling how your time is being used. That's also known as a calendar. Now, everybody here is familiar with the concept of a calendar. Are you not? Okay. Now, let me ask the question. Why are you not using one? And one of the things that happens, I talk to entrepreneurs every single day. And one of the biggest challenges I notice with entrepreneurs is it's always some form of this, whether they say it directly or they say it indirectly, is entrepreneurs often believe that they don't have enough time to do the stuff that they want to do that will help them get to the success that they claim that they want to get to. One of the reasons why people feel like they don't have enough time is because you are not tracking your time. It's the same thing that happens with people's money, same thing that happens with people's energy. If you're not paying strict attention, again, remember that word regiments, it means strict order and strict discipline. If you're not paying strict attention to how a resource is being used, usually that resource is being wasted in ineffective and inefficient ways, and you're not even aware of the ineffective and inefficient uses of the resource because you're not paying enough attention, because you are not strict in how you notice how that thing is being moved. Same thing that happens with money. Any of you ever felt like how do I know I had this much money like 3 weeks ago, now I only got this much money. What the hell happened to my money? And if you're asking that question because you're not paying attention to the money. If you pay attention to the money, then you would know exactly where it was going and you'd probably be better at holding on to it or using it in an effective way. Same thing with your energy. Many of you have your energy being sucked away by social media. You don't even realize that social media is sucking your energy away. And if you want to get more regimented and more organized into how that's happening, all you got to do is open the screen time app on your phone. They all have them now. And the screen time app tells you what? It tells you exactly how much time you're spending on every single app on the phone. And look at that and ask yourself, is this reflective of the type of life that I'm trying to live? Is this reflective of the type of goals that I said that I want to reach? If the answer is no, and listen, I talk to enough people, I know the answer is no, it is not, then you need to start paying more strict attention to your energy. It's the same thing when it comes to your time. Any of you, especially those of you who are entrepreneurs, whether you're an entrepreneur full-time or you have a side hustle, if you feel like you don't have enough time to do the stuff you need to do for your business, I'm telling you the main culprit. The main culprit is not that you have too much on your plate. The main culprit is not that you don't have enough information. The main culprit is not that something else is taking up all your time, whether your kids, your job, whatever. The main culprit is that you are not paying strict enough attention to where your time is going. Therefore, you always feel like you don't have enough of it. Here's the good news about time that all of you have heard before. We all get the same amount of time every single day. However, we use our time differently because some people are very strict and regimented in how they use their time. I just showed you one of the things that you can do, which is literally scheduling out every single activity in your day. None of you is incapable of doing this. Start scheduling out how you're using your time every single day, and you will find that you have a lot more of it in which to get things done. Now, here's the key when it comes to how you're using your time, folks, is that you must give yourself strict start and end times for every activity. Not just saying what I need to do, but you actually need to give yourself a clear parameters on every single thing that you're doing. So again, I want you to look at my schedule. So this is my calendar for every single day. You notice that orange block there? that's there almost every single day, at least on weekdays. That's what I'm doing right now. That's the live stream. I know that I'm taking 2 hours usually from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That's how much time I give myself to do these live streams every single day. And I'm showing you this not to impress you, but to impress upon you that this is not some special talent. All right, any of you can do this. All of you know how to tell time, right? Okay, so what's stopping any of you from doing this? Nothing. And this is why the stuff that I'm giving you is absolutely useful and immediately applicable for everybody as long as you can understand English. So scheduling out your life. And as I just said, give yourself a hard start time and a hard end time, which means if you say, I got to make 15 phone calls. So let's just say that's something you had to put on your calendar. And at 9 o'clock, you're going to start making those phone calls. It is not, I'm going to start making these phone calls at 9 o'clock and it takes as long as it takes. No, no, no. Do not do this. This is how people's time gets wasted. Is when you say I'm going to do it and it's going to take as much time as it takes. The problem with that is if it ends up taking you 3 hours, now a bunch of things get bumped off the schedule and now they get pushed back to the next day and the next day and the next day. And before you know it, you got a goal that you set in January and here we are, damn October, and you still haven't done it simply because you have not carved out the time for it to happen. What you need to do, this is the regimentation, this is the discipline, is that you need to say, I need to make these 15 phone calls and I got 45 minutes to make these calls. So that means you need to be done all 15 within 45 minutes. Now, some people may hear that and say, well, Dre, damn, that sounds like I'm putting pressure on myself. That might be a little bit stressful knowing that I got to make all 15 phone calls in 45 minutes. And my answer is exactly. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. You should feel your pressure. You should feel like you're under pressure. You should feel like it may be a little bit of stress. It may induce stress a little bit because now not only do you have to make the calls, but you have a time limit in which you got to make the calls. The clock is ticking on you in which to make the calls. Yes, this is exactly what I'm saying that you should do. Now, why is this a good thing? Reason this is a good thing is, first of all, pressure moves human beings to do shit that we otherwise wouldn't do had we not had the pressure. Many of you are not doing the things that you need to do, not because you can't do them, not because you don't know you need to do them, not because you don't have the resources or the information or the skill or the talent or the opportunity to do them. All that's bullshit. The reason many of you are not doing what you need to do is because nothing is forcing you to do it. Therefore, you keep putting it off. This is called procrastination. This is called laziness. And these are the natural default settings of human beings. So don't feel bad. You can feel bad if you want to, but you shouldn't feel bad about this because every human being has this as a natural default setting to procrastinate and to be lazy and to delay and to do things as late as possible only when we're forced to do things. Every human being has this as a default setting. So now the question should be, well, Dre, how is it that some people get a whole bunch of things done and some people don't get a whole bunch of things done if everybody's default setting is to be lazy and to procrastinate? That's a good question. Let me answer the question. The answer is the people who get more things done force themselves to get things done by putting pressure on themselves arbitrarily. They voluntarily put pressure on themselves to get things done. Whereas everybody else who does not put pressure on themselves, well, you get the default setting, which is procrastination, laziness, and doing things slowly. This is the reason why it takes you 7 years to achieve your 3-year goals, not because you can't do it, but because you put no pressure on yourself to get it done in 3 years. Because you don't give yourself a time limit. Time just continues to expand, or as long as you're alive for it to expand. This is a reflection of what we know as Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law, and I want to point out that this is a law. This is not a theory. This is not my personal opinion. Parkinson's law states that a task will expand or contract given the amount of time allotted for it. In other words, if you give yourself 2 hours to make 15 phone calls, you will take 2 hours to make those calls. If, on the other hand, you give yourself 1 hour to make 15 phone calls, you will take 1 hour to make 15 phone calls. It seems like a magic trick, right? It's not a magic trick. All right, this is simple human nature. When you tell a human being you have 1 day to get this done, people get things done in 1 day. When you tell someone you got a week to get it done, people will take a week to get it done. So this is a simple formula any of you can start applying right now in your life, is to put pressure on yourself by giving yourself deadlines. What is a deadline? All of you know the word. A deadline is a time by which something must be done. Keyword, must be done. Not I want to get it done. Not it would be cool if I got it done. Not I'm hoping to get it done. It must be done. When you can hold yourself to that level of standard and that level of accountability, I guarantee your productivity, your effectiveness, and your efficiency in life will go up, and you'll find yourself getting a whole lot more things done in a shorter period of time, which is exactly what you want, because every human being on the planet is on the clock, i.e. we all are going to die at some point. So we cannot keep stretching time for every single activity, because eventually you will run out of time. And as I just explained to you, when you run out of time, they call that dead, and you can't come back and tell the story of running out of time. You can run out of money, energy, attention, or focus. You cannot run out of time, at least not and tell the story about it. And the other thing about this is stress. Some of you are listening to this and saying, well, Dre, doing that might put some stress on me. I might feel a little bit stressed if I'm forced to do things in a certain period of time. My answer is exactly. You're supposed to be stressed. Now, here's the good news about stress, ladies and gentlemen. There are two different types of stress. Actually, there's a bunch of types of stress, but I'm going to specify two specific types of stress. One type of stress is called distress. All of you know about distress. Distress is the kind of stress that makes you feel slow and lethargic and tired and scared and anxious and worried and feel like you want to just go lay in bed and curl up in a ball and do nothing. All of you are familiar with distress. Distress is the kind of stress that makes you feel like you're 10 years older than you actually are. All of you are familiar with distress, right? Here's the other type of stress that I want to point out. It's called eustress. Eustress is a real thing, and it's spelled eustress, eustress. You can look it up in the dictionary. It's a real word. Eustress is also known as the positive type of stress. The people in the biohacking community call this hormetic stress. And eustress is the kind of stress that we actually like, because even though we know it's going to challenge us and push us, is the type of thing that is going to make us better. We see it as making us better, even though it's hard to do. So, for example, this morning, I went outside and I ran 6 miles this morning, and that's eustress. Now, do I need to run 6 miles in the morning? No. Is anybody making me do it? No. Was I racing against anybody? No. And if I didn't tell you that I did it, none of you would know and have done it, because it was early in the morning. Nobody was outside and nobody saw me. The reason that I do it is because of eustress. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be a challenge. I know I'm going to be sweating. I know I'm going to be fatigued, but I do it anyway because I believe that doing that is going to make me better as a person. It's going to make me feel better. It's going to get me in better shape, etc. So any of you does any type of workout, you have a personal trainer, you go to a CrossFit class, you go to a boxing workout, you go to a boot camp. Why do we work out? The reason we work out is because we know it's going to stress us. We know the workout is going to be hard. We do it anyway because we know it's going to make us better. All right. That is called eustress. Anytime that you are pushing yourself or allowing yourself to be pushed to do something that you know is going to be hard, but you do it anyway, voluntarily, is why? Eustress, because you believe it's going to make me better. I know this is going to be hard. I know it's going to be challenging. I'm going to do it anyway. So the stress that you put on yourself, or the pressure rather, that you put on yourself to get things done within a certain time frame, that is a good type of pressure and a good type of stress that is going to make you better. And here's a secret that all of you should already understand. So it's kind of an open secret that the people who perform at the highest levels in life are people who put the most stress on themselves, and they see that stress as a good thing, not a bad thing. That's the key. Now, everyone in life, every one of you who's listening to this, at some points in your life, you will face stress. The question is not whether or not it's going to happen. The question is, how do you frame the stress? Do you frame the stress as a bad thing, i.e. you're trying to get away from it? Or do you frame it as a good thing, i.e., hey, I'm glad that this stress is hitting me because it's going to make me better, it's going to challenge me, it's going to push me, it's going to bring the best out of me, and it's going to make me a better person. Here's another key, another secret, is that even if you face some stress that you didn't sign up for, see, it's one thing to be stressed because you decided to do it. See, if I decide to go outside and run 6 miles, I'm doing it voluntarily. Nobody made me do that. But it's another thing when you face some type of stress that wasn't even your call. Let's say just something happens, some emergency happens in life, and you had to deal with it, and it puts stress on you, and you did not want it to happen. You can still frame that positively if you want to. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. You can look at it and say, okay, I didn't want to have to deal with this situation of there's a death in the family, and now I got to go to somebody's house and get all their stuff, and I got to pay for the funeral, and I got to rearrange everything in life because this thing happened and I didn't want to happen. That is a stressful situation that you didn't sign up for and you didn't want and you were not anticipating. You could still reframe that in your own mind and say, hey, this is unfortunate. However, I'm glad that this is happening because it's going to push me and it's going to force me to become a higher level person. It's going to allow me to show myself who I am and what I'm about. You can do that. Any of you can do that with any situation that happens in your life when it comes to stress. So no stress that you ever face in your life or no pressure you face in your life ever has to be a negative thing. Stress is positive or negative based on the way that you look at it. Remember that no situation in life is bad or good. Every situation in life is neutral. You decide whether it's good or bad based on the way you decide to look at it. So you can make everything bad if you want to. You can make everything good if you want to. This is all a mental choice. That's why the foundation of what we do over here in our world, again, I told you my company is called Work on Your Game. The foundation of what we do here is mindset. Even though I help people do things like writing books and launching coaching programs and making money and selling your stuff and getting on, doing speaking gigs and getting clients and getting customers, we help people do all those strategic and tangible things. But the foundation of what we do is based in mindset, because the way you choose to look at things determines the actions that you take, and actions you take determines the outcomes of your behaviors. And without the right mindset, I can give you all the perfect things to do. I can give you a perfect script of everything to do, everything to say, everything to try. Without the right mindset, you will fumble the ball and still fail. That's why mindset's the foundation of everything. Everybody understand that? All right, that's just the first point. Let's move on to point number 2. We're talking here today about how to be fully regimented in 2025. Again, the word regiment means being strict when it comes to your rules, strict in your disciplines, and again, rigid organization for the sake of regulation or control. That's straight out of Merriam-Webster dictionary. Point number 2. Second point is you need to do things fast and now. These are your new default settings. Fast and now. Now, what does this mean? First of all, let's talk about the normal default settings of human beings, because I just told you these are the new settings. So what's the old settings? I just told you this in the first point. The default settings for most human beings, that's everyone listening to this, including myself. The default setting is that we do things later, and then we finally get around to doing them, we do them slowly. That's the default settings for most human beings. And if you look around at most of the people you know, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your bosses, whoever, even yourself, many of you can look at yourself in the mirror and notice this. When we decide we want to do something, here's the first thing we do is we try to figure out how we can do it later instead of doing it right now. That's most human beings' default setting is, I don't want to have to do it right now. Let me do it later. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would say something like she was going to do something for me or with me, and then she didn't do it. And then I would remind her like, hey, Mom, you said we were going to do A, B, C. And she would say something like, do you need it right now? Do we have to do it right now? And that was her default. And she would say it with this annoyed tone to let me know that I probably shouldn't ask again. And this is human beings. I'm using that as an example. This is how human beings deal with themselves. You all do this to yourself. I don't need to do it right now, do I? I don't need to do it immediately, do I? I don't have to do it right at this moment, do I? Let me just finish relaxing and scrolling through fucking TikTok before I get around to doing what I need to do. Most human beings do things later, and they keep putting things off until you have no choice but to do it now. That's when life puts pressure on you, because you have no choice but to do things, and now you have a deadline. Most of you wait until a deadline is forced upon you to take action. I'm telling you to stop doing that, and you create the deadlines yourself, and the deadline is right now. That's the deadline. The new deadline you put on yourself is right now. Instead of waiting for life to force you into action, you force yourself into action. This is just simply a new way of thinking. None of this requires any specialized knowledge, skill, talent, resources, or experience. Any of you can do this just based on what I just told you. Anybody can do this. None of you is excluded from this opportunity. The other one is, so that's the fast one. So that's the now one. Instead of doing things later, do it now. Here's the second one, doing things fast. When you finally get around to doing what you've been procrastinating on doing, here's the other thing human beings do. We take our time. We drag our feet, we go slowly, and we take as much time as possible to get things done. Remember what I told you about Parkinson's law. A task will expand or contract given the amount of time available for it. So if you give yourself a week to get something done, you'll take a week. But if instead you give yourself 2 days, you'll get it done in 2 days. Magic formula. And again, we just talked about this. This creates some pressure on you. Does this create a little bit of stress on you? Yes, it does. The point is that's exactly what you want. Okay. Pressure and stress make you better if you frame them the proper way. Pressure reveals diamonds, or it can burst a rusty pipe. It just depends on which one you are. You're a diamond or a rusty pipe. Now, if you're a diamond, then the pressure is going to make you better. And if you're a rusty pipe, then the pressure is going to crack you. Either way, the pressure didn't do anything. You were already that. You were already a rusty pipe. The pressure didn't do it. You did it. Everybody understand this? So this thing of doing things fast, why does this matter? The reason you want to do things fast is because it allows you to what I call collapse timeframes. And let me explain to you why collapsing timeframes matter so much. And this is something that all of you will simply understand by simple deductive reasoning. All of us understand. I think everybody who's listening to me understands that at some point you're going to die. Everybody agree with that? Does anyone disagree with that? All right. According to current science, every human being who is living, eventually your life ends. Every living thing, plants, animals, people, eventually we all die. We run out of time. We expire, which means that if you want to get more out of your life, you must, by simple deductive reasoning, be able to get more done in less time. Because if you're 30 years old and you're going to live till you're 80 years old, let's just say, that means you have 50 years left, which means you want to get as much done in that 50 years as possible, which means the faster you get things done, the more time you buy yourself and the more life you get to live. So let's just say you're 30 years old, right? And you have 50 things you want to do in the rest of your life. Your bucket list, quote unquote, is 50 things. And each one of those things, you plan that they're going to take 1 year each. So that means over the next 50 years, you do one of the 50 things each year and you'll get everything done within 50 years. But what if you can start doing things now? You can start working on these things sooner instead of putting them off till you're 40, 50, 60 years old, and you start doing them faster, which means instead of each thing taking 1 year, what if you get each thing done in 6 months? What if everything on your 50 item list you got done in 6 months instead of 1 year? Well, again, simple math. Now, what does that mean? That means that you got a 50-year list done in 25 years, but you still had 25 more years to live. So that means by the time you're 55, 30 plus 25, by the time you're 55, you did all 50 things on your list, but you still had 25 more years to live. So now you have 25 more years to do more stuff that you weren't even thinking about doing because you didn't think you would have the time to do it. This is what we call buying time. Now, we know you can't literally buy time. All right, when time runs out, it runs out. But compressing time frames and collapsing time frames is the closest thing you can get to buying time, because the faster you get things done, the more time you now have remaining to do other things. So to give you an example, I told you that on my calendar. I just showed it to you. Every day I have it blocked off from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. that I'm going to do these live streams. So what if I finish my live stream by 9:30? If I finish my live stream by 9:30, what did I just buy myself? I just bought myself 30 minutes of time. 30 minutes of time that was scheduled to finish the live stream, but the live stream is already done. So now in that 30 minutes, I can do something else and I can start collapsing time frames. I can get another productive thing done in that 30 minutes that I otherwise thought I would need an additional 30 minutes to get done. Now, here's the key. When you start collapsing time frames and you start buying yourself extra time, here's what you can't let happen, which is wasting time on bullshit. See, this is what most people do. See, what most people do in my situation, let's say I finish this live stream by 9:30. I don't think I'm going to, but let's just say that I did. Now I got 30 minutes of time. You know what most people would do with that 30 minutes? They would get on social media and scroll and waste time for 30 minutes. So now you just gave that time right back. You just gave it away. You just bought yourself 30 minutes and just gave it away. It's like if somebody handed you $20, you just dropped it on the ground and just kept walking. All right, you just threw the money away. Everybody understand this? So this is part of the discipline. Again, that's why the topic here, I use the word regiment for a reason. The definition of regiment is to rigidly organize for the sake of regulation or control. This is a discipline. Any of you who's familiar with my work, some of you are not. If you listen to my show called Work on Your Game, every day I give an introduction. The first thing I talk about on that in the introduction is the discipline. Discipline is the first word that I use to show up day after day and do the work. Discipline is the foundation of what we do over here at Work on Your Game. I told you mindset's the foundation. The foundation of mindset is the discipline. Then we go into confidence, mental toughness, and personal initiative. So the only excuse for not doing things immediately is that you physically are not in a position to do it. That means you put it on the calendar. Stop telling yourself you'll do things later when you could do it right now. Okay. So get things done faster. Start collapsing your time frames. Look around at how much time it takes you to get certain things done and ask yourself, if I could get this thing done faster, how would I do it? Instead of taking 30 minutes to get this done, can I get it done in 15? Instead of taking 10 minutes, can I get it done in 5? And yes, this does matter. And there are 3 levels of speed in life. So what I just explained to you is tactical speed. That's like taking a 30-minute task and doing it in 20 minutes. That's one level of speed. You need that. Second level of speed is what we call strategic speed. Strategic speed is about changing the plan that you're using to get a certain thing done. So instead of doing it this way, let's do it that way. We're still going to do it. We're just going to do it in a completely different way, which allows me to get to the goal faster. So for example, you could go to the gym. Let's say you want to get big muscles. You can go to the gym and you can lift weights for 90 minutes every time you go to the gym and have the big jug of water. Like you see the men in the gym with the big jug of water and they're lifting all the weights and they're in there for 2 hours. You could do that. You could also go find a way to optimize your lifts and focus only on compound lifts like the squat, the deadlift, and the bench press. And you can get your whole workout done in 30 minutes and still get big muscles just like those other guys, but you did it in 1/4 or 1/3 of the time. That's a strategic shift. So you changed your strategy. You changed your approach. Tactical speed is about doing the same stuff faster. Strategic speed is about getting to the same goal, but changing the process by which you get to the goal. It's kind of like you could walk to the store, you could drive to the store. All right, you can get it done faster, maybe if you get in the car. And then the third level is what we call wholesale speed. Wholesale speed is when you maybe even change the goal. You maybe even change your entire approach to what you're doing. So for example, you could try to get rich by working at your job as many hours as possible and just saving all your money. You also try to get rich by taking the money from your job, investing it into something that is going to grow over time and let the money get bigger that way. That's a wholesale change. So wholesale means just changing the entire approach of what we're going to do. Or let's say you want to make it as in, we'll take an example like Drake, the rapper. Everybody heard of Drake, right? So Drake raps about sometimes in his songs that he used to be an actor and he was trying to make it as an actor and become a big brand name acting. He decided that acting wasn't working. So he decided he was going to put all his eggs into the basket of music. And through the basket of music, it worked. He's famous now and everybody knows him. He didn't become famous through acting. He had the goal of, I want to be famous and make a lot of money. He tried this way. That wasn't working. So he made a wholesale shift and tried that way. And now it did work. That's what we call wholesale speed. So you have tactical speed, you have strategic speed, you have wholesale speed. Point is, you want to be looking at how can I use all three? Okay, so the second point is doing things fast and doing them now. Number 3, and we got 6 here. I'm telling you how to be fully regimented in 2025. Again, the word regiment means to organize rigidly for the sake of regulation or control. So yes, I'm telling you to be rigid. I'm telling you to be super organized, super disciplined, like the military. Number 3, eliminate all time leakage. This is the next thing you got to do. Eliminate time leakage. Now, I mentioned this a couple times already. Social media is the biggest time leak most of you human beings have today. And what's funny is those of you who are old enough to remember, before we had social media, people still had time leakage. We just redirected our time leakage to other things. Now we leak all our time through our phones, but we used to leak our time doing other nonsense. But this is a human thing. This is not a social media thing. So I want to be clear. I'm not blaming this on social media, and none of you is allowed to blame this on social media. Don't blame it on social media. All right, social media just made itself available for you to waste time. But if you didn't want to waste time, you wouldn't be wasting time no matter. It could be 1,000 social media platforms. You wouldn't waste time if you didn't have the opportunity to waste time. And the way you eliminate the opportunity to waste time is not by throwing your phone away or eliminating social media off your phone. It's by having a clear plan and a clear schedule of what needs to happen in your day so that you don't have the opportunity to waste time. You see, if I have a task that ends at 8 o'clock, and then I got another one that starts at 8 o'clock, and then I got another one that starts at 9, another one at 10, another one at 11, I don't have any space to waste time because as soon as I get done task number 1, I got to go to task number 2. Then I got to do task number 3. Then I have to do task number 4. The key is you have to respect your calendar enough that you actually honor what the calendar tells you to do. That's the point that most people miss. This is where most people mess up. You see, what I told you in the first point about scheduling out your day and putting everything in the calendar, that's cool. But again, let me pull my calendar up so y'all can see what I mean. So you see all these tasks that I got on my calendar? See, it's one thing that I have them in the calendar. It's another thing if I'm actually going to follow what the calendar says. See, if I finish this task at 10 o'clock and then I know I have something to do right after that, and there's something to do right after that, and something to do right after that, the key to this calendar is that I have to actually honor what the calendar tells me to do. See, if the calendar says at 10 o'clock, you should be doing this, I need to be doing that at 10 o'clock. I can't say I'll do it at 10:05 or 10:15, or I'll just not do it today. That's discipline. That's why I use the word regiment. Regiment means strict, rigid organization. Strict, rigid organization, like the military. We got anybody here who's been in the military? In the military, if they say 10 o'clock, they don't mean 10:01. It doesn't mean 10:17. It doesn't mean when you feel like it. It means 10 o'clock. No exceptions. So any of you never been in the military? I've never been in the military. You may be listening to this and saying, well, Dre, that sounds like being in the military. It sounds like being a drill sergeant or a soldier. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I mean. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I want you to act as if you're in the military. Even if you've never been in it, like me, I've never been in it. You have an idea what it looks like, right? That you know if they say we're going to wake you up at 5 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, somebody's in there waking you up. Not 5:02, not 5:07, not 5:15, 5 o'clock. That's the discipline. Does everybody understand this? Okay, so time leakage, ladies and gentlemen. Social media, all of you already know how much time you waste on social media. Looking at the Explorer pages on social media, all of you know how much time you waste looking at the Explorer pages on social media. These are designed to suck time away from you by continually giving you dopamine hits. Dopamine is basically the good feeling that you get whenever you get some type of update, notification, a text message comes through, a new email, your phone buzzes, or the sound that you get when something happens on your phone. That's you get a feeling of dopamine. It's like this good feeling, like something positive happened. And social media is engineered to give you as many dopamine hits as possible so that you keep coming back for it. It's like what's the word? Like a drug addict. All right. Drug addicts get addicted to drugs because of the dopamine hit that they get every time they take the drug. Many of you are drug addicts for social media. Social media is a drug, and many of you are addicted. And I'm only using social media here because this is the number one place where time gets leaked for human beings. I'm just time leak is just the point. I'm just using social media as a very, very strong example. Here's what you all need to understand about social media. Social media's business model is to get you to use the app as much as possible, because social media, I don't know if all of you understand this, social media makes their money by selling advertising to advertisers. And I'm not just talking about everyday people who run ads. I'm talking big companies like Amazon, Nike, Google, Home Depot. They run ads on social media. That's how social media makes all their money. Now, how do they charge money to Nike or Amazon or Google for ads? The reason they're able to charge Amazon a whole bunch of money is because here's what social media does. Social media says, I'm looking at over on TikTok, just to grab some of you names. So Kabubi or Ali or Blue 32 or Stacy, what they do is they measure how much time you spend on the app. And then they go to Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, look, do you see how much time Ali and Stacy and Blue 32 are spending on our app? They're on the app all this time, every single day, Amazon. So Amazon, if you want to advertise your products to them, all you got to do is pay us this much money, and then you can show your products to them, because we can guarantee you, here's how much time Stacy spends on the app every single day. And they got the documentation right there in front of them. And Amazon says, damn, that's a pretty good deal. Okay, we'll pay you TikTok, we'll pay you YouTube to run our ads on your platform. And TikTok says, oh, damn, look at all this money we made from Amazon to let them run ads. Here's what we should do. If we want to make more money, all we got to do is get more people like Stacy to be on our app all day like her. And we got to get Stacy to spend more time on the app. And the more time they spend on the app, then we can go back to Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, we charged you $1 million for the last ad. But look, Stacy spends twice as much time on the app now. So now we want to charge you $2 million for the next ad. Amazon says, OK, that makes sense. All right, we'll give you $2 million. And they just want to make more money. So all they do is engineer the app to keep you spending as much time as possible on the app so that they can make more money. Now, I want to be clear that the irony is not lost on me that I have you all on this app right now by doing this live stream. But I want you to understand this is their business model. Their business model is to take your time and sell it to advertisers so that they can make money. You make nothing. That's the business model of social media. Now, I got to be careful how often I say that, because they get social media apps don't like when I say that, because I'm exposing them. And they decide to lower, they don't let my stuff get seen as much because I'm saying this stuff. But this is true. They know it's true. People who run social media know that I'm telling the truth. This is their business model. It's to take your time, monetize it, get paid, and you don't make any of the money. Amazon makes money because they sell their products. They make money because they sold the advertising. You make nothing. All you do is get to scroll social media. You get the entertainment of scrolling social media. That's their business model. I'm not knocking social media. Again, I'm right here doing the damn live stream on 7 different platforms. How can I knock social media while I'm using it? I initially got myself known on the internet through social media, so I can't be mad at social media. And I run ads on social media, so I can't be mad at social media. I post on social media all damn day. I can't be mad at social media. I'm just letting you all know that your business model and their business model are not the same thing. So you have to use these apps wisely and don't let them use you. Many of you are getting used by social media, not using it. And there's a difference. And I'm talking about social media a lot because this is where, again, most people's time goes these days. It wasn't like this 20, 30 years ago. It is like this now. Here's what you got to accept. This is something that I accepted. The algorithms, which are made by engineers that work at these companies. Every one of these companies has engineers who work for them. So any of you want to get a guaranteed job in the future, or your kids are in school right now, they want to guarantee themselves a job in the future that pays well, tell them to become an engineer. All right, there will be plenty of money to be made as an engineer. Now, engineer, you do need to go to college. So I have trashed college, but that's one job you need to go to college to be an engineer. The engineers who make the algorithms, all of you heard of algorithms, right? The engineers who make them and program them are really, really, really smart people. They're smarter than almost all of us. I would even say that they're smarter than me when it comes to what they do. They are really, really good. Here's their job. Their job is to figure out what's going to make you stay on Instagram and stay on Facebook and stay on LinkedIn and stay on TikTok and stay on YouTube. That's their whole job. All day, every day, all they do is figure out, how can I keep you from getting off the app? How can I keep you on the app all day? That's their job. And the better they do with that, the more money they make. Your job, on the other hand, is to not be on the app all day. So you see, this is a battle. All right. So you're trying to not be on the app all day. They're trying to keep you on the app all day. And here's the point that I really want you to get. You will not win this fight. All right. You're not going to win. They're going to win. Why? Because they're smarter than you. So the regiment here, the discipline, is for you to have a schedule that tells you something else you need to be doing so that you don't have the excuse of staying on the social media app. Because if you give yourself the excuse to stay on the app, they're going to keep showing you stuff that's going to keep you on the app. And before you know it, 3 hours ain't gone by. You ain't get shit done all day. And you're like, where the hell did my day go? And then you're coming to me like, Dre, I don't have time to get done the things I want to get done. Yeah, you got plenty of time. You just got it stolen from you by the social media app because you didn't have the right disciplines and the structure in place to block you from letting your time get wasted. All right, the engineers who make these apps and rejigger the algorithms, they work on these things like all day, every day. So those of you who don't know how the back end of these sites work, and I'm not just talking about social media, like Amazon, for example. Amazon is testing and changing things on their app all day. They have millions of people coming through their app all day. They're always changing things. They see what's working and what's not. They make an adjustment. TikTok does it. Instagram does it. Facebook does it. YouTube does it. They're always changing how they do things. And they change things based on what's going to keep you clicking and keep you or buying on Amazon's case, or keep you putting things in the cart, or keep you swiping, or keep you engaging, or whatever. One of the reasons why these live streams do so well on TikTok, for whatever reasons, that people keep watching them. So they just, all right, let's keep promoting Dre because people are watching his live streams. If people stop watching, then they stop promoting me. This is what it is. Why? Because this live stream keeps people on the app. That's why they're happy. They're happy that I'm doing this. But if it stops doing that, then they're going to stop promoting my stuff. This is just how it works. And it works the same way on all the other apps. The point being, you won't win this battle. Okay. I'm telling y'all the truth. I won't win this battle. All right. I know what actually Instagram knows better than I do what's going to get my attention. I know if I go on Instagram, let me open up Instagram right now. I'm opening up Instagram right now. All right. Here's my Instagram. I don't even follow that many people on Instagram. I follow 208 people on Instagram. I don't scroll on Instagram because I know if I scroll, I'm going to start seeing stuff. And I don't go to this little thing with the magnifying glass on Instagram. If I go to the thing with the magnifying glass on Instagram, look what it's showing me. All right, look at this. Look, I'm showing y'all what it's showing me. This is the magnifying glass on Instagram. I ain't even got to zoom in on that. You see what it is, right? There's a whole bunch of soft porn. Let's just call it that. That's what Instagram is showing me when I go to the Explore tab on Instagram. Now, Instagram has a belief. Instagram has a belief that the more of this they show me, the more it's going to keep me on the app. And that's why I don't even click on it, because they're probably right. All right, that's the discipline. The discipline is not to click on it so that you don't get tempted and by whatever they think you're going to like, and they have whatever reason to believe you're going to like it. They just keep showing you stuff till they find what works. That's their job. They just keep showing you different stuff till they find what works. So if they show you a bunch of stuff and you don't click on it, then the next time you get on the app, they show you a bunch of different stuff. If you don't click on that, then the next time they show you different stuff. And you don't click on, they just keep doing it until they find what works. They're like a salesperson. All right, you don't like that product? How about this product? You don't like that one? How about this one? You don't like that one? How about this one? They just keep doing that till they find what works. And then they just keep showing you more of it until they get you to buy something. And by buying, quote unquote, what I mean is to give your time. Your time is more valuable than your money. I already explained that to you. You can run out of money and come back. You run out of time, you're dead. So what they're doing is just trying to get your time. And that's the reason why social media is free, by the way, quote unquote free. The reason why all these social media apps are free to sign up for and free to use is because they're taking your time and then they're selling your time to get money. That's why it works. So when you're in between tasks, here's the key, tactical thing. Don't pick up your phone and start scrolling on social media, because that's where your time gets sucked away. Because I just told you the algorithm is smarter than you. So if you get on there and say, I'm gonna get on social media for 5 minutes, that 5 minutes becomes 25 minutes. And then you do that 3 times a day. That's 20 minutes lost 3 times. 20 times 3 is 60 minutes. There's an hour of your day gone. And then you're coming to me saying, Dre, I don't have time to get done writing my book. I don't have time to finish making my course. I don't have time to finish. I don't have time to work out. All right, how much time do you need to work out? I need an hour. Oh, there's your hour right there. Everybody catch it? 20 minutes, 3 times a day equals an hour. There's your hour that you're missing. All right, so this is the discipline, ladies and gentlemen. This is the regiments. All right, these leakages add up. Every single day, they add up over weeks, months, and years. And before you know it, you're about to be dead. And you're like, here's all the things I didn't get done in life. And where'd all that time go? It went to your social media apps. They made money, did you? Let's move on. Point number 4. We're talking here today about how to be more regimented. Again, definition of the word regiment, straight out of Merriam-Webster dictionary, is to organize rigidly, especially for the sake of regulation or control. I'm telling you to be regimented. Number 4 establish boundaries or re-establish boundaries. If you used to have boundaries, put them back. If you never had boundaries, put them in. So I already been talking to y'all about this. I've been talking about this a bunch already. So appreciate that, Ali, getting those likes up. Thank you. So discipline is a byproduct of structure, ladies and gentlemen. Discipline is a byproduct of structure. I told you our discipline is the foundation or the mindset piece of what we do over here. The challenge many people have with discipline is that you go about it incorrectly how to get it. Discipline is not something that you force upon yourself. You don't force feed yourself discipline. Whenever I'm talking to someone, they say one of their challenges is some type of discipline or consistency or persistence, something like that. And I ask them, well, what do you think you need to do about it? And they'll say something like, well, I just got to make myself do it, or I got to get motivated, or I got to push myself, or I got to be more disciplined, or those don't work. You can't force yourself to be disciplined, ladies and gentlemen. The way you get disciplined is to have a structure. I gave you a simple example of a structure in the first point, which is scheduling out your day. A calendar is a structure. Why is a calendar a structure? Calendar is a structure because it's finite. Structures are finite. Structures have a strong beginning and a strong end. There's a form to them. There's a border. Like the United States allegedly has a structure. Why? Because it has a border. It says, here's where the United States ends and here's where the other country begins. And there is a line there. And you can't just cross that line whenever you feel like it. And yes, I get that. You can insert your own jokes right there. The whole point of a structure, ladies and gentlemen, is that there are borders. That it ends. It starts here. It ends here. The good thing about a calendar is that the day begins and the day ends. So if you use a day planner and you know that your work day ends at 5 o'clock and it starts at 9 o'clock, that means everything needs to get done today somehow, some way needs to fit in between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. And now you got to make some decisions about what can I actually do? What am I actually going to do? What am I not going to do? What's the priority? What is not? Boundaries are what allows structures to exist. If you don't have boundaries, you don't have a structure. If you don't have boundaries, you do not have a structure. All right. So if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. If you don't have boundaries, you don't have a structure. Okay. And once you have a structure, you can be disciplined, because discipline only means you look at the structure and you follow what the structure tells you to do. That's it. When you hire a personal trainer, the personal trainer gives you structure. They say, all right, come to the gym at this time, do these exercises. When you're finished, do this to cool down. Here's what you can eat between now and the next workout, and be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock for the next one. That's the structure. When you have structure, it's easy to be disciplined because all you got to do is follow directions. Everybody heard that? When you have structure, it's easy to be disciplined because all you have to do is follow the directions. When you have no structure, it's difficult to be disciplined because you have no directions to follow. You have no guidance. You have no boundaries, and therefore you just do whatever you want to do. And this is how most people end up with no discipline, because you're just doing whatever you want to do. No wonder it's not working. Boundaries are the byproduct, ladies and gentlemen, of principles. When you have clear principles, then it's easy to set boundaries. So if you say, I do not look at soft porn on the internet, then it's easy to set a boundary. You're never going to look at the Explore tab on Instagram because that's all they're showing you. At least that's what they're showing me. I don't know what the experience is for you other men out there. What boundaries are you going to put in place in your own life so that your structure actually works? This is a question. Let me ask the question again, just so you got it. What boundaries are you going to put in place in your own life so that your structure actually works? You need boundaries, ladies and gentlemen. You do not need. Let me tell you what you don't need. That a lot of you all, especially you Americans, think that you're supposed to have because you've been told this by people. Many of you Americans are told that you should just be free to do and be and think and have whatever you want, whenever you want. This is bullshit. And even though it is generally available to us in America, generally you could pretty much have and do whatever you want if you want to. If you have the means to do it, if you have some money in your pocket and you are a free American, you could pretty much have, be, and do whatever you want on a daily basis. Anything within the confines of the law. You don't have anything blocking you from doing stuff if you want to do it. The problem with this is it goes against the grain of everything that I'm talking about here. When you have no boundaries, you have no structure, there will be no discipline, and you can't expect results when you have no discipline. This is the issue. The highest level performers you see out there are people who are highly disciplined. Whether you know about the discipline or not, they have it. They say, okay, I'm going to get up at this time, even though nobody's making them get up. I'm going to execute this thing, even though no one's making them do it. I'm going to make sure this gets done and this and this and this, and I'm going to get all 15 of these things done today. All right, that's high level performers. They do that even with nobody forcing them to do it, and or they have people involved to help them do it. This is why Every high level professional athlete, what do they have? They got trainers and coaches, even though they're already good. LeBron James is pretty good at basketball, but he has trainers. Why? To make sure that he stays within the means of his structure and within the means of his own boundaries. I'm pretty sure LeBron has a nutritionist or a chef that makes food for him. Why? He knows he can make food. He can order Uber Eats just like you. Why does he have a nutritionist and a chef? So that they can make him the type of food that will make sure that his body is full to perform at the level that he needs to perform at. Even though he might want some ice cream, the chef does not give him ice cream. The chef gives him some vegetables and some fruits and some lean protein so that he can stay in good shape so he can keep playing in the basketball games and doing his damn job. I understand what I'm saying here. So even though, and LeBron is a good example because from what we're told, he has the resources. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. Like anything you could do, he could do. Right? He has the resources to do whatever he wants to do, but he doesn't do whatever he wants to do. He does what he needs to do within the confines of the boundaries that he has set based on the structure he has in place, based on his principles, so that he can perform at the level he needs to perform at. And that's why you know his name. And you can do the same thing on your level. I'm not saying you have to be a basketball player or even famous. You just have to have a solid structure based on boundaries, which are based on principles. Now, this is why, even though I don't follow any particular religion, I respect people who do follow religions, any religion, doesn't matter which one it is. And here's why, because religions have clearly laid out and clearly documented principles, structures, and boundaries that cannot be crossed. I'm not telling you need to become religious. What I'm saying is when you are abiding by a religion, there are clear structures that you can't just violate just because you feel like it. If you are serious about the religion, if you're seriously this religion, you got to follow, you know what the guidelines are because it's written down and they don't change. It's not like if you were a fill in the blank religion 20 years ago and now you're one today. It's not like the rules change. The rules are still the same. They're written in the same documentation, the same book from then is the same book now. If you are following it, there's a clear structure. There are boundaries there are lines you can't cross when you follow that. And this is one of the reasons why people who are highly religious are highly disciplined. Again, regardless of how you feel about the religion, whichever particular one, they are highly disciplined people. Why? Because there's a structure that is laid out for them. They don't get to make their own rules. Now, you can make your own rules and be successful making your own rules. The thing is, you got to actually follow your rules. You can make your own rules and follow them your way, but you have to actually follow them. Again, this is the thing about religion. The reason why people who are religious can be highly disciplined is because they're not making the rules. Therefore, they can't break and change them when they feel like it. Many of you try to make your own rules. And then when you don't feel like following your rules, you just break the rules. And then you wonder why you have no discipline because you're just breaking your own rules. You're not respecting your own rules. Why would anybody else respect them? You see, in a religion, you don't have that option. You don't have that freedom. And you're going to be held accountable. And you believe that your higher being, whoever that is, that when you get to the day of judgment, you're going to be held accountable for whether or not you followed the boundaries and the rules that were set in front of you. And again, you can't pick and choose which ones you want to follow when you're serious about following a structure. So those of you who are going to make your own structure, here's the warning. You got to be disciplined enough to follow your own rules. Many of you set rules and then you don't follow them. You're like, all right, I'm going to do this. January 1st. All right, here's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to do this. 6 weeks later, you're back doing the same shit you were doing last year. That's a lack of discipline. And you got to look in the mirror for that one. Okay, so again, let me also say this. Even when you do follow a religion or you set your own rules, doesn't mean you're going to be perfect all the time. But when you set your own rules, if you find yourself breaking a rule, you know that you broke a rule. That's the key. The key is if you set your own rules or you're following someone else's rules, even as a religious person, when you break the rule, you know you broke the rule, which means you can hold yourself accountable and say, okay, I broke the rule yesterday. Let me get back on horse and get back to doing what I'm supposed to do because there was a rule that was broken. See, the issue that a lot of human beings have is that you have these arbitrary rules in your head, you break them, and then you don't even catch yourself or hold yourself accountable or call yourself out for breaking that rule. And therefore, breaking the rule becomes a normal thing. So you say, I'm not going to look at soft porn on Instagram. Then you spend 30 minutes looking at it on Tuesday. The next day, you don't say to yourself, damn, I looked at 30 minutes of soft porn yesterday. I'm not supposed to do that again. So on Wednesday, you look at 40 minutes. Thursday, you're looking at an hour. Friday, you're looking at 2 hours. And on Saturday, you signed up for somebody's OnlyFans account. Because you didn't call yourself out the first time you broke the rule. So before you know it, you get into the cycle and it just gets worse. This is how people become drug addicts and alcoholics and addicted to gambling and addicted to soft porn. Because the first time you broke the rule, there was nothing in place to hold you accountable and call you on your bullshit. And see, this is why the regiment matters. This is why the regimentation matters. This is why you got to hold yourself accountable. Or you need to be held accountable some way, shape, or form. You don't have to do all this by yourself, by the way. Everything that I'm explaining here today, this is the reason why there are mastermind groups out there. There's the reason why there are accountability groups. There's the reason why people offer coaching programs. There's a reason why personal trainers exist. There's a reason why men's groups and women's groups and moms groups and all religious groups. There's a reason why people do things in groups. Because when you're in a group, you can't just show up to the group and say, well, I spent 40 minutes looking at soft porn on Instagram yesterday and it just be accepted. Now, see, you can say that to yourself and get away with it. So you can't show up to an accountability group of men who are all about discipline and say, well, I spent 40 minutes on Instagram yesterday, and they just say, oh, that's all right. No, not anybody who's serious. You can't have your coach. You can't have a coach and tell your coach, hey, I'm gonna get this sales page finished by next Friday. And then next Friday, you didn't do anything. And then it just be accepted. That's not okay. So many of you, I want to be very clear here. This is not some Superman effort where you had to be this perfect person by yourself. Many of you can and you should enroll other human beings into helping you to be held accountable on the things that you say you want to do. Because most human beings, this is just human nature, we are more likely to hold ourselves to a standard when we know other people will know about it than if we're just dealing with ourselves. Many of you will bullshit yourself and lie to yourself and accept it, but you won't bullshit and lie to another person who you respect. So get other people involved in your process. This is the reason why the coaching industry exists. It's the reason why personal training exists. It's the reason why masterminds exist, because you can't show up to the group and say some bullshit and just tolerate it. And many of you need that. All right, those borders, those structures keep you in check. Moving on. Point number 5. We're talking here today about how to be fully regimented. Again, definition of regiment, straight out of dictionary, to rigidly organize for the sake of regulation or control. Number 5. I'm going to take questions at the end, by the way. Number 5. If it had to happen now, how would it happen? This is a question, a rhetorical question you're going to ask yourself. If it had to happen now, how would it happen? So this goes right back to what I talked about earlier when I talked about collapsing timeframes. Getting more life out of your life. So let's just say that you have a goal that you want to achieve in the next 5 years. So you have a goal you want to achieve by the year 2030, but it's only 2025. What if you had to achieve that goal just this year? You got to achieve it in 1 year instead of 5 years. How would you do it? That's a question you should ask yourself. You should take every goal that you have that is supposed to happen in the future and ask yourself, if I had to get that goal done in half the time, how would I do it? Just asking yourself that question and then actually coming up with an answer, what it's going to do is get you thinking about, how could I get this done faster? How can I collapse timeframes? What are some things that I'm thinking need to take time, but I could actually do today? Because again, I told you about collapsing timeframes and the value of this concept. When you collapse timeframes, you get more life out of your life, and all of you are going to eventually run out of life. Everybody in here. You might never run out of money. You might not run out of energy, attention, or focus. Everybody is guaranteed to run out of life. So the faster you can get things done, the better for everybody. This is a universal point, universal principle. So how can I achieve let's say you got a goal you want to achieve this year. If you had to get it done in the next 3 months, how would you do it? You had to finish it in Q1 of 2025. How would you do it? What would you do differently than what you're doing right now? How would you change your current process? See, asking this question challenges you to figure out how you can move up your timelines, collapse timeframes, and get things done faster, which is the key to living more life. How can I do this faster? Simple question. Asking the question challenges you to figure things out, which is something you should be looking to do anyway, because again, if you have a 5-year goal, who guaranteed that you have 5 years? Some of you who are listening to this won't be around in 2030, but you'll be around in 2028. So if you get your goal done this year, then at least you get 2 years to enjoy the outcome. None of you is guaranteed 5 years. So anything that you want to get done in the future, ask yourself, if I had to cut that timeline in half, how would I do it? Or if I had to cut it by 80%, how would I do it? If you just start asking yourself this question, you're going to start coming up with ideas. And it may not be that every idea you come up with you can actually do or execute on. However, some of the ideas you come up with to answer that question you may be able to put in place right now. And just by asking yourself the question, you may realize, you know what, this doesn't have to be a 5-year goal. This could actually be a 3-year goal. And I could get half of it done this year. And before you know it, now you got it done in 2 years. So maybe you didn't finish it in a year, but you got it done in 2 years. You just bought yourself 3 years of time. Everybody understand the math here, the equation. So this is a question, again, that you need to start asking yourself. How can I get this done faster? You want to read a book that's really good on explaining this and talking about this in other ways, especially business related. Read The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And that's a book that I read, almost 20 years ago, like probably 15, 17 years ago, I read that book. One of the biggest reasons I became an entrepreneur was reading that book, The 4-Hour Work Week, along with Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and along with some dabbling I did in network marketing when I was in college. And I'm going to reread the book. I got it actually in my Audible library. I'm going to reread that book again this year. But anyway, let's move on to point number 6. We're talking here today. This is our last point. How to be fully regimented in 2025. Again, regimentation means strict, rigid organization, rigid structure, like the military. Number 6, wasted time equals wasted life. This one I've talked about 20 times already here. Every time you allow your time to get wasted, you are wasting your life. Why? On a high level, we understand that time equals life. You run out of time, your life is over. All right. Your life is a reflection of time. So if somebody dies, nobody says, well, how much money did they have? Somebody dies, they say, how old were they? Or you say, my grandma died. And somebody says, well, how old was your grandma? All right. And when someone asks you how old you are, what are they asking? They're asking how much time has elapsed since you were born until today. All right. That's what it is. Time is the most important measure. So every time you allow your time to be wasted, or you waste it yourself, and you're allowing that. Let me be clear what I mean by waste, because waste is different for every person. Waste means any time that you are using to do something that is not helping you reach your stated goals. That's what waste means. So a waste for me is not the same as a waste for you, and vice versa. You need to know what your goals are. And anytime you're doing something that's not helping you get towards your goal, you are wasting time. Now, somebody else could do that exact same thing and it's good for them. So scrolling on TikTok might be a waste of time for you. But if I'm an engineer who works at TikTok, it's not a waste of time for me, because I'm looking at it because this is my job. It's my job to scroll through TikTok and find out what's working, because I'm getting paid to do that. You ain't getting paid. So you're wasting time and he's not. Everybody understand? So wasted time is relative. You need to know what wasted time is for you versus what productive time is for you. And every time you are wasting time, you are wasting away your life, because that time you cannot recover. You can get money back. You can get space back. You can get energy back. You cannot get time back. So my question for you is, where are you rationalizing your slowness? Where are you being slow and telling yourself that it's okay? And when I say slowness, I don't just mean like you're walking down the street slow. I mean, you are allowing a goal that you're saying is going to take a year, but it could be done in 2 months. That's slowness as well. So I'm talking about big picture slowness as well as tactical level slowness. Where are you rationalizing slowness? Where are you telling yourself that I need to take my time in doing this just because it feels comfortable to take your time? But you could get it done if you stop taking your time. And by the way, this phrase, take your time, socially means when somebody says take your time, what are they usually saying? They're saying go slow. They're saying go slow, don't rush, don't force yourself, don't be urgent, don't try to be fast. I want you to reframe this concept of take your time and mean it more literal. Take the time and actually do something with it. That's what I want you to take. When you hear this phrase, take your time, reframe what it means to you. Most of the time when you hear take your time, means go slow, don't be in a rush, don't force yourself. It's okay for it to take longer than usual. Bullshit. Instead, how can you take your time and actually use it and do something with it? And stop rationalizing slowness. Stop rationalizing being slow. Stop rationalizing telling yourself, I'll do it. So here's some other pet phrases that I hear people use all the time. When I'm ready, when I'm comfortable, when I get around to it, at my own pace. All these are bullshit rationalization phrases that people use to justify slowness. You need to stop using these phrases. When I'm ready, when I'm comfortable, at my own pace, when I get around to it. All of these are forms of slowness. The problem with slowness is that you are paying for slowness with your life. That's the cost of being slow. The cost of slow is life. The cost of slow is not just, oh, well, I only get 10 years to enjoy the success instead of 20 years. The cost is life. Every time you move slow, you're paying with life. And if you start looking at it that way, you might see it differently. Many people rationalize being slow, procrastinating, laziness, and overall lack of organization. And the lack of organization leads to slowness, laziness, and procrastination. And then wonder why you're not getting the results you want. You're not getting the results because you're too slow. The results that you want, every one of you listening to this, any of you who has goals this year, your results require speed, urgency, effort, and discipline. Speed, urgency, effort, and discipline. All of these are aided by having a clear structure in place and having clear boundaries, what I can do versus what I can't do, what is acceptable versus what is not acceptable. So you have your plan now for 2025. I just laid it out for you. I'm going to recap these points and I'm going to take questions. So 6 things for you to be fully regimented in 2025. Number 1, schedule your life. Start with a calendar. All of you know what a calendar is. All of you have access to one. Number 2, your new default settings of instead of doing things later, do them now. And instead of doing things slow, do them fast. Number 3, eliminate all time leakage. You know where your time is leaking. For most of you is on social media. Give yourself boundaries and stop letting social media steal your time. Number 4, reestablish or establish boundaries for yourself. And that's in every aspect of life. Okay, you want to stop eating junk food or put it in the pantry. Don't go down the junk food aisle next time you go in the grocery store. Put boundaries in place. If you have no boundaries, you have no structure. With no structure, there's no discipline. Number 5, if it had to happen now, how would it happen? How can I cut my timelines in half? Instead of it taking a year to get done, how can I do it in 6 months? And number 6, wasted time equals wasted life. Every time you procrastinate, you're lazy or you're slow. You are paying for that slowness with your life. And eventually you don't have any more life to pay with, or your life bank account is empty. They call that death. Every time you're slow, you're paying with more life, and eventually ain't no more money in that account. And that's when they come get you. All right, it's over. Everybody got that? Let's see what we got in the comments here. And we will go over to, I don't think I saw anything on IG. All right, we'll go over to y'all on TikTok. So whatever you got on TikTok, let's get to it. We're talking here today about how to be fully regimented in 2025. And by the way, those of you who are listening to this is what I coach people on. This is what I make courses and programs about. I have a whole program called Work on Your Game University. That link is in my bio on whatever app you are watching this on right now, or in the comment, wherever you're watching this on right now. You can learn more about that. Have me as your personal coach. And I coach people on things just like what I just talked to you all about for the last hour or so. So Kabubi got the #1 gifted badge. Appreciate you. Thank you. And I'm looking at TikTok comments right now. So if you got something, go ahead and post it. R. Jackson, appreciate you. Shayna, is it Shayna or China? So use my calendar consistently. Yes, you should. Everybody should use their calendar all day. Marsha said, Time Tree calendar, easy to use, can color code, and it's free. All right, there you go. So any of you want a calendar recommendation, get Time Tree. I just use the Google Calendar. So Apple, if you have an iPhone, it comes with the Apple Calendar. But I use mostly Google products like Gmail, et cetera. So I just use the Google Calendar, and it is free. Most calendar apps are free. Marsha said, Dre is on the calendar every day. That's what's up. Shout out to everybody who has this on the calendar. 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. For those who didn't know. Eva said, what's the best way to start? I think I answered that question. Let's see. Treadstone said, the feeling is the secret. All right, great. Release the brakes. That's right. Shuggy said, I've been working on my game. That's excellent. Good. Keep working on your game. Marsha said, procrastination station, my kid all day. Yeah. Procrastination. Ali got the #2 gifted badge. Thank you. Good morning to you as well. Great morning. Rachel said, great talking advice. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for Ali for promoting people tapping the screen for those likes. We got 11,000 here. Mara Mazuri said, teach. Thank you. Yes, respecting the schedule is self-respect. That's correct. Especially if you made the schedule. That's correct. Blue says social media is not where people spend most of their time. It's work. Now, I challenge you on that, Blue. I think even when people are allegedly at work, they're on social media. All right. What do y'all think? How many of you have a job and you are on social media when you're supposed to be working? How many of you are at work? How many of you at work right now? All right, you on social media right now? You're supposed to be working. So there's a bunch of people who are at work, even right now, and you're getting paid. You're on the clock getting paid by your job, but you are on social media not doing your job. And maybe some of you are doing your job and you're listening to me at the same time. But no, I don't think most people's time goes to work. Most people's time goes to social media. I would strongly challenge that. So user said they are winning. Yeah, they're winning. They're winning a lot. The key is to use social media, not get used by it. There's nothing wrong with social media. It's just how we use it is the key. I use social media probably more than most of you. Kabubi, amazing. Thank you. JL Marai said, thank you for sharing this info. You're welcome. Glad you got it. Ruby said, I locked my phone up. Yeah, some people got to do that. If that works for you, do it. Nancy said, that is so true. Thank you. Ruby said, I make my kids put theirs in a box for a while. I collect them. Yeah, that's a good idea. I hear that people, how old are your kids, Ruby? I think my kids not going to have phones till they're like maybe 18, maybe 16. I think I got to keep the phones away from them. Let's see. Ruby said, truth hurts. That's a fact. It facilitates our nature to be lazy. Yes, human nature is to be lazy. Our nature is to conserve energy from back in the caveman days until we had to run after dinner or we had to run from an attacker. So it's just in our wiring to conserve energy. But success means going the opposite of our natural instinct. Rise in, got the number 3 badge. Thank you. Congrats. Thank you for the lightning bolt. Rise in. Mara said, be religious to your discipline. That's right. That's a good one. Life coach says, when I break the rule, I forgive myself and just do better the next day. All right, fair enough. As long as you know that there is a rule. The key is that you just have to know that there is a rule. Many people just don't have a rule. That's the problem, is that most people break rules and there wasn't any rule. So they didn't break a rule. They just do whatever they want to do. The Noble Life said at work right now, listen to this, LOL. See, that's what I mean. A lot of y'all at work right now listening to me on social media. So no, it's not work that's taking people's time. It's social media. But this is valuable social media. So I'm not a time wasting social media. I'm positive social media. I'm giving you something of substance here. Kataria, where is that? Kataria said, I'm sending this to my 23-year-old granddaughter. I'm listening and I love this segment. Thank you. Yes, send this to your granddaughter. Yes. Appreciate you, Ali. So I really get a lot out of your live streams. Thank you. Nicole said, I am, but we can listen while working. We just can't look at our phones. Yes, that's fair enough. That's fine. I listen to YouTube videos and podcast episodes when I'm working too. I'm listening to things of substance. So just make sure if y'all are listening to social media, make sure you're listening to something that's actually useful. Is going to make you better, not the nonsense. Social media has a lot of nonsense on it. So y'all got to be discerning about what you consume. Why Gaming over on YouTube said, Fakin G. Appreciate you, sir. All right, I think we got everything here. So for those of you who don't know, I do these live streams. So it is about 9:30. So maybe I was right about the time. I do these live streams Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. I often talk about current events. I already told y'all on Monday, it happens to be January 6th. I will be doing a live stream about that January 6th, not that January 6th. All y'all know about that one, the Donald Trump January 6th. I'm going to talk about that on Monday, but tomorrow is Friday. I'm going to do another evergreen topic tomorrow. So this is kind of an evergreen topic, but this kind of stuff, this is what I coach people on. This is usually what I do business-wise, is I help people with things like this: mindset, strategy, systems, accountability, execution. So if you like this, take a look at the link in my bio at Work on Your Game University. That's where we have group programs. I have personal coaching programs. If you would like to have me as your personal coach, that's where you can get more information about that. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Tomorrow, I'll be talking about something that's evergreen, similar to what you heard here today, but a different subject. I'll figure out what that's going to be. That'll be tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Then Monday, I'll be back on the current event thing, definitely on Monday. I already know what I'm talking about Monday, unless something bumps it off the schedule. Probably won't. And then Monday through Friday next week, we'll be back on the normal thing, because almost everybody will be back to work on Monday. And I think some people are still on vacation this week. Some people got the whole week off. Shout out to the people who got the week off. Shout out to the people who didn't take any time off. I didn't take any time off. I don't really like vacationing. Belfort says, interesting that we all have expiration date, motivates people to get work done. For me, it does the opposite. It makes the work feel pointless and an exercise in futility. Well, that's a fair point. A lot of people sometimes get into that way of thinking. I think we call that nihilism. And instead, Belfort is figuring out, what do you want to, because also, that the time ends and there'll be nothing left of each one of us, but also your legacy can live on depending on what you do. There can be things that you do that still live on and affect and inspire others, even though you're not around to do it. So think about people who are passed away, but we still talk about them. I mean, we still talk about Martin Luther King. We still talk about Malcolm X. We still talk about Napoleon Hill. We still talk about, there's a bunch of people out there who passed away, They've been gone forever. We never even, some of them died before we were even born. Like Martin Luther King died before I was born, but everybody knows who Martin Luther King is because what he did in his time was so impactful that it still lives on to this very day. So all of us can think of that as well. And it doesn't mean you had to be some world famous person, because your impact could go through your family, just your kids, or the people who you worked with, or the people who you touched in your job. So it doesn't mean I'm using famous people as an example because all you know who they are, but this can apply to just your community, your kids, your neighbors, your coworkers. Your efforts can still impact them even when you're gone. So we can think about that as well. And often people don't start thinking about that until they get into their late years, like people like my parents' age. You might be 60, 70 years old for people really start thinking about that. Often we call it legacy, but you're building your legacy of everything you do every day. So it will either live on or it'll be forgotten based on what it is, but that can apply to everything. Appreciate you, Belfort. And Randy said, I'm going to call Monday and check the temperature of the people on how they feel about Trump going back. Well, I will be here Monday talking about that. It'll be perfect timing, being that it's January 6th. All right, Monday we will talk about that January 6th. That's definitely happening next week. Tomorrow's topic to be determined. I'll decide. So I think I told y'all everything y'all need to know here. Lane, good morning from Canada. Shout out to Canada. There's about to be a cold front happening down here in South Florida. So I know it's cold in Canada. So in South Florida, because I always look at the weather because I run outside a few times a week. So it's about to be a crazy cold front out here. So tomorrow, 54 degrees as the low. Saturday, 48 degrees. 56, 62, 52, 47, 45, 40. This is crazy. We never get temperatures this cold down here. And this is the low. The high is in the 60s and 70s, but I don't like this. I don't like this shit. So I know all y'all in the rest of the country already got these cold weather, but we don't get this down here in South Florida. It usually doesn't come this far. But anyway, good news is we got shelter in here. We can be in the house and turn the heat on. So that's what I'll be doing. It's cold up here. I know it's cold up there. I know when it's cold down here, I know it's cold everywhere else. That's how the weather goes in America. If it's cold in Florida, then it's cold everywhere. We got the best climate in the country. So when I see 40 degrees in Miami, then I know it's like 20 degrees in New York, Philly, and Canada. I don't even want to think about it. But anyway, everybody, we'll be back here tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. Everybody have a great Thursday. I will see y'all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Work on your game. We out of here.